Dongo, Ahse Deere, Chahildrift Karundos. Moes, Jaskira, Philip Deere, in Hodrift Karoat. Chiskides, Edna Gad, Marundo. Mahokolat, Stizari and Bonagara Bonehoi, Zamazole, Zidundos. Moes, Chaboshidat, Hovono for Lat. Mo, Stizar Moragara, Marigo Skitlit, Stihitki and Bonagara Shane Ejagon. Mo, Follin, Anleggen Dovan, Isti Idemen I not, Mahagazogo, Jamistogi, Jatkires, Dotkire Ayen, Chaboshi Anleggen, Azambonayet, Moes Nitahangu, Imbonayat, Manat Orafki Hayen, Dakwilin, Hayoi, Nagi, Ajikta, Chaboshi Maui, Chamashigi, Chambonai, Dakwilin. Moes Honi Mahigon, Imbonogara, Chamin Yikchi Hagen, Nagi Maga Gitligon, Chaboshi Ambohen, Nagi Macha Gaje, Ajahiji. Gitlichigo, Jagade. In here to Jabonaga, Bonada Gitle Dunderway, Moes, Manak Magita, Gitlego Dunderway. Oh, Jagade. Ma ishti in hotli in bonagara mame bonai donchi chagesen chahan hoyen nagi no ga gongwe jatki lahichen jaski ambo he chaboshi da chahani bit ma chambonagara da ishti in hotli in bonagara onwi bonai dondos chagesen moes in bonagara shine ja nak idedes in bonai Dakwilin, Chambonai Dundos, Jatki Gajen, a billet wheelie. Mabonagada Shine Jita Marat Mabonagada E Nakin Hitchka, Onehoi Dundos, O Hombera Magitina, Nagi O Homba Madundos, O Lake the Magita, Nagi O Lake the Dundos, Moes Hofonagi, Imbonagada Zuligi, Nagi Shadadi. Hozif Kamahi, Ozi Badi. Chiboshi dat, Azole Ziaza, my man in Bonagada Bonai, Imajoldo, Dovan, Isti Azole Hak don't know what. Hadam Doi Azole Zat, in Bonagada Imalagidundo, Dovan Imagitleste, Isti Des, Githi Badi, Imalagidundo. Chiboshi dat, Azole Dundos, Hanyon in Bonagada Shine Zat, Isti Mvskoke. Imbonagara Amogan, Imbonagara Hojifoi, Magirua, Moes, Yara Mvskoke Mahi, Imbonagara Dundos. Bonakdat, Ma Nahadki Maga Creek, Ma Gate Hojifoi Weri. Marat, in Hitch Kamedigos, not a Hogi Magitinat. Dag Hitch Karakwila, a Hoguji Magichiweri. Moes Hofonov, Isti Mvskoke Volat. Imbonagara Mahi, Ojadi. And what I was saying is, when I was younger, I used to, my name is Ahse Deere, and my father was Philip Deere, and my mother is Edna Gouge, and they both spoke the language, and my grandma spoke the language, and I spent a lot of time with my grandma when my siblings went off to school, and my father went off to work, or they went in the garden. I would stay with my grandma, and one day I was standing there while she was making sofki, and she was talking to me, and she started talking something I didn't quite understand. And I asked her, and she said I knew that lazy language. And I didn't know what she was talking about. She kind of got on to me, and later on I asked my dad, and he said, well, that lazy language you're talking about is in Stajari in English, it's like descriptive. And so when you say it's a table, you're eating on something. When it's a chair, it's something you sit on. But the old Mvskoke language, they had the proper names for it. They had the real names for it. We have changed our language some, and that's what Grandma was talking about. She spoke the old Mvskoke language. And Bonai not, some of us couldn't understand her. Dad could. Wanny, McNack could. There were some old ladies at the old church that could. Iri bonai not. Nagmaga Gidlijigon. It wasn't the same as Creek. E mois a gile de dundos, bombonagara de shine ja henyua, isti hetki embonagara ashiri ami hagidundos, stuzarida. And I think about that, the way that old language has gone and the language we have now, it's polluted with English. You know, people mix English in there. And moi a gile de ya, tjadjafki embonayan, havono, fulliat, Jalaha, Jawangwa, Amogan, full lots. Dizal Bonaga Mamem, Bonai Zaboza, it's Gozides, Zaboades, Nugget, Istides, the man for lot, Madigos Bonaho, Kitle, Mui, Zamazole, Zidundos. Wherever I went, everyone talked Creek. The old people, the grandpas, the grandmas, the aunts, the uncles, my brothers and sisters all spoke Creek. We all spoke the language. And my bonagara shine jishala. Heidi duibadi. It was good back when everyone spoke. A bilgadat. You never laughed so hard, you know. Ma nak. Sizabanaka shine jit and bonayat. Zabawadat. Eunice Hill Hozukka. Nak bonagazi onayat. Amogan abilit. Avolit, avachki hage, shet kiridesh azit, bohin, dui nak magit, nak stuish magit, ebilga haga Mr. Yadza. My Uncle Eunice, he used to talk and tell stories, and he always talked in Creek, and you know, he was just trying to make a joke, trying to make you laugh, and people were always laughing. You never laughed so hard. Havono ma only adiyat. Heidi do ibadi. Hayo isti vollat. Anda de hijin. Stemith kozion. Fully didn't do we. Det I de bonaigon. Bonagara oje. I haladi onwe. Det nak makta yajigon. Moesh mahago jogo. Isti shaya. Isti hekki abioga haga meja. Isti mahayo only ahan hoya. Ma isti jari in miji wedi ma ahani but you know, people used to kind of hold back. They don't want to talk. And it could be caused by, you know, the non-speakers laughing at them or making fun, and the teachers being cruel to them, even at the schools and even the boarding schools. In miji wedi moesh chajatki hange ambohen jinda ponagara hidin giklidonche moesh naston isti ida vollat ponera in haladigon ma mahago jogo mara ayin jindesh ma bacon aitsa chislogave jinokkeje mi hoji ponagara waigas jige hoji onagoji chamane itse moesh tui chimbonagara in haladitsa. And I asked my dad, I asked him, you know, you talk real good and other people, some don't. But why is it that you hold on to yours? At the Bacon orphanages where he was sent, they beat him, they whooped him, they were hard on him to keep him from speaking his language. And boy, hot. Napzamanayan, Hayui, Bomahan Hoyet, Bonflagav Hoyet, Yomotski Haknat, Ikiui, Oshetsin, and Lowavatsin, Dakfolin, Tibanagia Jolly, Daklagin, Donjat, Yahekta Githoyen, Imbonagada Githoyen, Bomogozat, Bomanitusi Lagin, Shetgadonwi, Pomozit. Tak Bangladesh oji, Miko oji, tak Follin, Avachkarawi, Charlotte, he did undos maui, tak Asladi. And he said that he would sneak out at night. And there were other older boys, and they knew some of the songs, and they knew some of the ways, and Nagajikta, Imahayan. They would teach him some of these things. and they would have their own little like stomp dance. Even though they were young, they would pick out their takwalas and name someone Miko, and they would play Akabani Oint Moish Mamija Afachki Lege. Even though they were playing it, it made them happy. Hubei Lega. They couldn't come home. They were gone. They were way off. In Maui, the boat days they are, Zagajin, Janyik Jeji, Hagidundos. And when I went through that, my father said, that's what made me strong. And he said, Jindesh, Maramoin, the boat Dahandonsi. Hayon Jiminit to Jilegichin. Daddy and Boneda Ojigon, Hagahi. And Hayon, Agile Zedundos. Mahi Jedoe. Daddy and Boneda Ojigon. Ma Donja. Minute Dogin Oge. Who call into Chin in Mores. Keith, you don't know. He told me I would go through some of the similar things, the same things. It would be hard because I was so young and I could speak. And as I got older, I seen it. There's only 3 or 4 people I know that are fluent, that are close to my age or a little bit younger. Hayuwa istijari in bonaida yaze not. I got to go to people that is about 10, 15, maybe 20 years older than me. In bonaida not. Bonai Legan. Andesh Mahagazogo Hobay Riverside Maga Idoe Det Stijari Shigon Hayakbo Isti Madigos Follen Bonagre Tet Boneda Gisligon Tak Follen Ayen Mo Minnesota What's a man lay again E Chajaki Shongat Ja man legen, ieder man legen, full in. Tovan miski alak na. Shit kere gisle jaidundo. Shit kere yovogar ya jaidundo. Tovan yovogen. Jogolak tet shit kere ojidoa, istien bohen. Sahi jen, istien jogobale jen. Tet bonayat mabohe jen. Ejan bonaidos des. Dui nak magat. Marbleheads. When I was younger, I went off to Riverside. There was no one out there but them Plains Indians. And then eventually I went to Minnesota, school over there, and Ishtijada Edom and Nak in Bonahoyan. They spoke something different. And I would come home in the summertime. I'd be kind of lonely for the stomp ground. I'd come back, visit whoever I could visit, listen to people talk. And I used to, my Joligita leg, knock on Oguji Jamane Hoyat, Marbleheads leg, and Yafki Vihagen, Yomotski days, Hungy, Chobo legend, Nidhi and Nakabo Hawano, leg and mongen, Henyon, shit, get a labana handwe, Magen, Inga, Jabonaya. They would talk to me and spend hours talking. If I got there in the daytime, they'd spend till the evening. If I got there in the evening, they'd talk to me well past midnight. But I would listen because my ponagara shine jishalat. Healy don't know. It is good. It is good to speak your language. Jaboshida. Stihet kim ponagara ponegon. Donkon. Ulagi badi. My grandmother couldn't speak English and she lived fine. Nishkojogo ayin. Ya Jawanwa, Jalaha, Andesh, Emanage, Nagi Yats don't know what. Maisti het Giambohen. O freak to this, knock Yats not. Emanayan, Jaboji Emanayan. She did fine. We as kids we went to town with her and we helped her buy things, and if she wanted something we would tell the clerk, and you know for paying for it we would tell her. She made it around. Just get out of buggy. We would all go. Ma hofono ma dolofa fatsen Ada Yajigon. Ma hangi last chance maga. Jogo nishka jogo legin. My man be the Yajin. We'd go over there. There was a little store called Last Chance. And that's where we would go. She didn't want to go to town. She didn't care to go to town. We'd go there and she'd buy everything she needed. Dalagores, olosores, hotskirides. Just beans, rice, whatever she needed. Nitta hangi en legen. Nak nishi. Chaposhida. Ma o hombero oin o sho nagi sho legend o legend. Ma nak ni ha jiaja zambohin. Ni ha madat oji donsi. Chaposhi en gejen. Oh no, jiaji chigona ma meshti heki nagi emane esti. Oh es ni ha oji donsi chaposhi gejen. Na ni ha chayat. Hayon madak hich galega. Great ni ha le gidundos. Chagejen a hijen. Te het geen bonagere tonsa kichli dundos going. And while we was there one day, she was telling me she wanted niha, which is like a grease. And I told her we already got the grease, Grandma. And she said, no, you want some? And she was saying niha, and I thought she was saying grease. And she goes, oh, I know. She goes, okay then, well, get me a great niha, is what she was saying. And healing, you'll mess it up. I mean, if you don't know it, ishti nak maga, ma bilga haga maga, jamistogi, ma digos mijen. Henyona git leze ya, jatki abila, hije mongido, zabawa, amogan, ma dajagaya, dajagaya, abiti dahlegi, abili. Yafki bihagen. Anda mahista bohyagi jahagi dundo. Mastijari and bonagada bonaho ya bohin. Idawa mogen in fachko sigeti bohin. Mara bohyagi homi. Agitle jedun. You know, those were good times back then, and they laughed and they talked Creek, and the members of the ring and at the ceremonial ground, they sat in the arbors, and you could hear them laughing and talking. And you could say the whole ceremonial ground was full of their laughter and hearing the language. Even in the camps, Hoktagides, Abilit Hullen, it was really good. Andat, Jamaniti Mage Moesa Juleze Ayadoat. Moi la git le dedo. Zamazologi, Jamashigit, Hanyon, Yaponagara, Jinagidondos. Chaboshida, Ishtijari, does Magi Godundo, Ishti does Magin. Ishti Mvskoke Madoe, Hanyon, Bonagara Oze Dondos, but not the Togodoe, Chaka Hosin. She used to say that, my grandmother used to say that, you know, I'm not Stijari, which is a red person. She would say, I'm a Mvskoke person. I'm a person. And this is my language. I'm not some animal. And they used to tell me to hang on to the language. Supposed to hold it dear and precious to you. Now those times, we don't have those times no more. Hofono, Jakirat, Iskanaga, Duibadi. Migosapko Joko Ayin. Moes, Migosapko Mo, Sizabanaga Gishit, Bonahoyit, Ikanagades, Tovan, Ikanaga, Mo, Sizabanaga Bonahoyin. Hofono, Hadi shadoki alen. Ma meko sapko joko ayen. I bonagada bohida. Madigos ayen. My father, when he was younger, he used to be a preacher. And so he used to still take us to the church grounds. And we'd go down there and listen to him, and the people there, they would talk Creek to you. The preacher would preach in Creek. And when I got old enough to drive, and I would go to these churches just to hear them talk in Creek. Mo'omi ponaya ponagi dundos ma ponagada. Ofanga ma ponagada abon way hogi dundo. Mo'i chamashigi chamajole jidundos. That language is ours. God gave it to us. And ajayich da mahogat. You hold it precious. I don't know if English can do ajayich to justice, but that's as close as I can get. Ajayich jidundos mahogi. Madon mi jaya. Hey you knock. I guess lay jay do. Moish to hit game when I go my man shin edge a handoe. You know, God, this is the way I feel about it, and I'm going to use the English language to finish up here. Is that I always felt that, you know, I was blessed to be stajadi. Ani me na jai do to be stajadi. I hold it important, and I think if you're born stajadi, if you're born Mvskoke, if you're Indian, then you should appreciate it. You should look at it and care about it, because God loved you enough to make you Indian. He could have made you anything else, but he made you stajadi. Shed kiradesh. Migo japko godesh. Damamahe aitat. Istajadi don't say. Wherever you go, you're going to be stajadi. Go to the church house, you go to the ceremony ground, wherever you're at, you're stajadi. And ofunga jinhai dundo. And God made you that way. But